Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to quietly peel back the shiny, polished surface of modern apparel to expose something hidden. We're looking at a hyperfast system that's quietly pulling the strings of consumer behavior. We aren't talking about luxury fashion or high-end designers here. We're talking about something far more pervasive, a system that literally turned clothing into one of the fastest-moving consumer products on Earth. Section 1. The speed of consumption. To truly grasp this corporate machinery, you have to understand how the very nature of buying clothes was intentionally broken down and then systematically re-engineered. Just think about the stark contrast between the past and the present. Years ago, fashion was this slow, durable investment. You'd buy a coat with the expectation that it would last you a decade, right? But today, clothing has been transformed into a disposable commodity. It moves at the unrelenting, chaotic speed of the internet, where products aren't replaced by the season anymore. They're replaced weekly, sometimes even daily. And the heartbeat of this new machine? It can be measured by a single number: 24. The 24-hour cycle. You see, the ultimate goal of this modern system is no longer durability. It's relentless, dizzying cycle of sheer speed, designed not to clothe you for the long term, but to keep you constantly, perpetually reaching for that next item.
Section 2. The trend machine.
So you really have to ask yourself a psychological question here. How exactly does a massive business convince millions of people to constantly discard what they already own and buy anew? Well, the answer lies in a rather dark psychological truth. People aren't just buying fabric and thread. You're purchasing an identity, status, a fleeting sense of belonging. The system understands perfectly that humans buy things to fit in, and it exploits that emotional need flawlessly. It all operates on a highly engineered mechanical loop. First, a new trend is born. Second, instant desire is manufactured, heavily fueled by social media influencers and algorithms that can blast a new look to millions of feeds in a fraction of a second. Attention creates demand. Third comes the rapid purchase. And fourth, repeat. It creates this inescapable loop of desire and consumption that simply never stops. Section 3. The architecture of cheap. Now, to sustain this rapid loop without entirely bankrupting the everyday buyer, the underlying corporate architecture had to evolve. A very fragile compromise was struck. On one side, you have the consumer's deep desire for extremely low prices. On the other, the corporation's absolute need for extremely high volume. The entire fast fashion empire basically balances on this razor's edge. It's an addiction to cheap goods, meeting a strict requirement for massive scale. To make that compromise actually work, they built global mechanics of scale. Manufacturing was quietly shifted across the globe to regions where labor is significantly cheaper. Production speeds were accelerated to breakneck paces. By building these sprawling, interconnected supply webs, corporations are able to achieve this staggering volume necessary to turn pennies of margin into billions of dollars in profit. Because these aren't just factories anymore. They are synchronized planetary scale networks designed to convert raw materials into cash at the exact speed of human impulse. Section 4. Engineering the urgency. This is the layer where the business model actively weaponizes human emotion against the consumer. It relies on a feeling we all know entirely too well: FOMO, the fear of missing out. Because they don't just sell clothes, they sell carefully engineered urgency. By heavily promoting limited stock and flash collections, they manage to turn a deep-seated psychological anxiety into a cold, highly effective revenue stream. The message being subtly broadcast to your subconscious through every single new collection is actually quite aggressive, and it's perfectly clear. Buy it now, or miss out. You're quietly told that to hesitate is to be left behind entirely. Section 5. The true cost. But a machine designed to move this fast carries a heavy, often invisible burden, operating just behind the curtain. While we, as consumers, are completely mesmerized by the cheap price tag, the true cost lies hidden in the staggering logistics networks and the relentless production required to maintain the illusion. The constant replacement of goods means the industry is churning out and ultimately discarding unfathomable mountains of product every single year. It creates this profound psychological disconnect. What consumers see on the rack are just low prices. A great bargain for the weekend, right? But what the companies see, what the algorithms and the executives are analyzing, is massive, continuous scale. You see a cheap t-shirt, they see an empire of volume. Section 6, the bottom line. Ultimately, all of these psychological triggers and immense logistical layers peel back to reveal one sterile, highly calculated equation: sell massive amounts, sell them quickly, and repeat continuously. The entire fast fashion empire operates on this brutally simple mandate. It relies on continuous, never-ending consumption just to survive. The ultimate reality of the industry boils down to this: speed equals profit. In this hidden machinery, the faster the trends move, the more opportunities exist to sell. Speed isn't just a byproduct of the system. Speed is the system. There's a saying that perfectly captures this. You stop seeing clothes as just clothes, and you start seeing the business behind them. Once you finally see this system of manufactured trends, engineered psychology, and constant consumption for what it truly is, your perspective shifts forever. You realize that behind every cheap garment is a highly optimized psychological machine. As we wrap up this explainer, you're left with a dark, lingering question about the true nature of your everyday choices. Are you following the trends, or are the trends controlling you? Behind every major industry is a system most people never notice. And it's a question you'll have to answer for yourself the next time you feel that sudden urge to buy something new.
This is CorpFile, inside the world of big brands. Subscribe to explore the real stories behind the companies that shape our world.